Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and black, and this pandemic is whack. But let's just continue with this pay-per-view before I continue with the anonymous consistent cringe. That's the only thing SmackDown is consistent on. Uh, Shout out to the elitist for his uh 50 reasons why take on why SmackDown is unwatchable. Most of it I agree with. Somewhere I think were just a tiny bit of nitpicks, but other than that, it was a great video. Shout out on him. Really liked the vid. So, yeah, for some of the reasons why SmackDown and Raw suck is not particularly their fault. They're just going off time restraints, and obviously they can't get more of the roster to show up because of the selective people in a building limitations, and most of what they're doing to make sure that uh most people are safe from the pandemic. There's not very people that get it caught, and they can still do their event that's now going to be 2 days after announced later on the episode of SmackDown. There was a cringe event involving Paige on Skype, and yet she had the authority to issue the match for the SmackDown Women's Title match, and yet again, it's another multi-women match because we don't trust Bayley actually having an actual intriguing storyline involving Sasha Banks or her multi with her mini feud with Liv Morgan, or her one title defense against Naomi that somehow didn't want to make it to the pay per view, or at least the last two episodes of SmackDown since losing at Super Showdown. So I'm just a bit confused in this little road to WrestleMania. Most of this had to be like even first half of the year. We're not counting the pandemic period currently because we know like time restraints, limited use of the roster, all this crap, limitations of production, all this stuff. I can understand perfectly a good reason why they have to limit some stuff. Why it gotta be in a smaller setting of where not a lot of people can catch it, where they're not gonna get a lot of people sick. But the way they do promos, the way they're trying to issue storylines, the way they're trying to issue all these feuds, it's so awkward. With I can hear the inhale and exhale of Michael Cole. That was the only person on commentary. We haven't seen Corey Graves in 3 weeks. Last time Triple H took over on commentary. And then I think the last week, I think it was Byron Saxton before he came back to Raw. It was just really cringe. Just to know Michael Cole was just there trying to just get into the action. And then Mojo Rawley getting Rob Gronkowski. That I thought it was okay. A little okay. It was just okay. Like, I understand like it was a big thing to get a Super Bowl champion. I'm already hearing backlash on him because oh god, this guy's not gonna pay his dues. He's only gonna be in WrestleMania. He's only gonna be guest premiering. It's not like they're giving him an instant feud by the start. Who wants to start an instant feud with Baron Corbin after his like 4 month feud with Roman Reigns that went absolutely nowhere except obviously the guy that's gonna benefit is the guy that you've been pushing for multiple WrestleManias for the past couple of years. So I don't know how in the hell you established Baron Corbin as a big superstar then when you could have had King of the Ring earlier than 2019 for SummerSlam. But we're gonna stop into the note. We don't have to do this little fake little fantasy booking. We know the situation WWE got themselves in, and they dug themselves their own hole. Because yet again, it's Roman Reigns getting over by another 50, 40 plus wrestler just to establish himself that he's stronger than men that look like my father can beat up in a street barehanded with no weapons. It's cool. It's not like I wouldn't want to see like two badasses wrestle, but like the way they establish it, it's so disheartening to me because this is like one of the most established. This is the most very few established feuds on SmackDown. There's no particular interesting feuds that they have on SmackDown at all. Most of what they've been doing, we're having those segments when Elias was mocking Drake Maverick. They didn't do that anymore. The time Shorty G was trying to ally with Apollo Crews. Then we didn't even know what happened to Ali, and now they just got jobbed out for 4 weeks against Sheamus almost every night. And then what else? because it's just dumb. They had no other women feuds that didn't involve the women's championship. We had Dana Brooke pin Bailey on an episode of SmackDown. Lacey Evans somehow apparently turned babyface the time she got drafted to SmackDown and then lose twice against Bailey on pay-per-view. And now, and then they just still have Alexa Bliss. I mean, these Moment of Bliss segments, and then have a backstage interview involving Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, with Nikki Cross looking like an emotional retard, coming around screaming her lights off, all because Asuka came on SmackDown. You called them out on weeks ago before this little pandemic thing, and then you came and then expect the worst. She got you to she interfered and costed you a match against Sasha Banks and Bailey. Oh God, it's just such a cringe fest, and the way they did it with Baron Corbin being like, "This is fantasy land. You're used. I came from the NFL. You came in the NFL. You had one of the worst NFL careers for most of the guys like Van Vader, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. That I think he spent like half a season in Minnesota before he just went off the deep end and went to MMA. So you're not the most enticing guy to ever try to compare an NFL career, because the NFL is a bit more high risk than WWE, because at least you guys are actually well prepared to make sure these yourselves are safe. In the NFL, anything can happen, and they can suffer whiplash just from a simple tackle, while like several other 300-pounders are trying to break your neck. So this was a corny promo by Baron Corbin that obviously hasn't evolved since this literal multi-month feud with Roman Reigns. I don't expect always some guy to improve. I mean, some guy to feel like Jake the Snake Roberts when it comes to promo styles, but at least Baron Corbin should at least learn something from being in a multi-man feud, just a multi-month feud that went absolutely nowhere, except Roman Reigns obviously benefiting every time they wrestled against each other. And then we had Rob Gronkowski. They brought up the video package because Mojo Rawley somehow is indebted to. Uh, isn't he supposed to be on Raw? He just came from a 24/7 title reign. I think he had the longest reign, and then he came around losing to Riddick Moss, and he never even got a rematch the next night. It was just Ricochet, and Riddick Moss was in a 3-match winning streak. So I was just confused at that point. And now here is Mojo Rawley just getting super excited because, oh, he at least has connections to Rob Gronkowski with his ugly ass, looking like an albino fucking turtle. It's just retarded. He comes around taking the mic from Michael Cole, being like, "Here's Rob Gronkowski." Rob Gronkowski's fine. I mean, he does look like I think he was a part. He was part of roster management or something. He worked for Eric Bischoff back in 2003, back in the brand split, back when Bischoff was like full on heel GM. He came around, kind of doing the dirty work. Plus, he could wrestle. That's what he looked like to me. Other than that, Gronkowski looked fucking cool. He looked like a fun guy to be around. I mean, at least you have at least one mainstream person on your show. Most of the other people don't want to fuck with WWE because of how cringe the content is. Not because if the wrestling sucks. It's because the show itself sucks. Not the overall product. Like the shows suck. Anybody can watch a wrestling match. Nobody's gonna watch a televised show, especially when it's mediocre as SmackDown. It's a 2-hour show. That's more easier to consume than a 3-hour show. And they had Bray Wyatt against John Cena because that's at least relevant to the story with the Fiend and John Cena because it's the exact same person. Except I think Cena's supposed to get him over now. I I feel like the feud was rushed. At least it's gonna bring a reason why there's a reason you should watch Mania because it's just a payback feud. Oh God, Elias came out anyway, come beating the crap out of King Corbin after Gronkowski pushed him to the floor like a little bitch after Mojo Rawley assisted him. Then we had a match involving Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak against Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, with Sami Zayn obviously playing as the manager while he's Intercontinental Champion. He has been in the main roster since 2015, I think 2016 if we want to count it, because he had an injury. And it took him this long until now to become Intercontinental Champion, and yet the top, most popular and the biggest guy on your show, like Braun Strowman, somehow never issued a rematch. He was not even plausible to the plot. That was like his first singles belt in a minute. He never won a singles belt. He has won more tag team gold than his singles title reigns. That's not a good look, especially for what was supposedly your top guy, your future top guy in the company. But he hasn't been big since 2016 to early 2017. So it's kind of a joke until then to still think that Braun Strowman, we still have this much faith when we knew, like, especially WWE was killing every time he was in the main event scene, because obviously they didn't want a guy like Brock Lesnar losing to Braun Strowman that loses to like Roman Reigns like half of the time. And we had Daniel Bryan against Drew Gulak against these faggots that we don't even know their faction name. Sami Zayn just hangs around with them because they're bigger guys, even though you wrestled some of these guys before. We didn't even know he was just on the coattails of Nakamura that's like autist, 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 you an autistic Japanese cuck. I hate you. It's just Nakamura coming around with the belt that I thought that the handicap match was just to make Sami Zayn help Nakamura win, but somehow Sami Zayn just holds it and Nakamura was like, okay. Or Cesaro, he hasn't won the singles belt since 2013, and he comes around not even being like, hell, I wanted to win the Intercontinental title, do something with my career, like do some plausible storylines. And then the next week on Smackdown, Drew Gulak got a win against, I think, Cesaro or Nakamura or something to give Daniel Bryan a shot for the Intercontinental title. Why not him? He literally had a pay-per-view match with literally the biggest star in the company in Daniel Bryan, and then he just got to, help the other guy win, help the other guy get a title shot. That's so dumb. The match was fine. It was just uppercut, uppercut. It ended. Now, I think by the Dragon Sleeper, I think it ended off another roll-up, so it was the same finish as last week, but it was Cesaro against Daniel Bryan. It was so meh of a finish. It was so meh. I didn't know why. Like, it was good. I mean, we saw an exploder suplex, a German on Cesaro. Cesaro came around doing these stiff uppercuts as Daniel Bryan, and the way they were just, on the size game, it was fine. But it's sad when you make this big group of us, what's supposedly supposed to be established guys, like Nakamura's getting treated like a fucking jobber, and Cesaro, even though they accomplished more than Sami Zayn. Like, we have the the 2014 Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner, and we have the 2018 Royal Rumble winner jobbing out to Drew Gulak. How is that a good look for both of these guys if you want them to succeed? What kind of storytelling is this supposed to succumb to? Nakamura should still be in the title picture or something, and yet he's helping Sami Zayn still become still keep his Intercontinental title. That is so cringe. That is so dumb. It is so retarded. There's no feasible reason why that should even be a smart strategy for anybody at this point. God, why? And then we had Paige make an announcement involving what's gonna happen for the SmackDown Women's title. So we just thought that she was just gonna, like, wrestling did take away my dream. Yeah, but you're not gonna be here. Uh, yeah, it's not like I'm gonna face anybody else in the roster. Like, it's just me and Sasha Banks going to the Hall of Fame. Like, who says immediately you're going to the Hall of Fame? What would be the pleasable reasons? We made the women's division. We made the women's division. Shut up. You didn't. You ain't shit. It was just Charlotte. I'm joking about it was just Charlotte either, and even though she was the most successful, the women's title was brought back, was actually in the main event of WrestleMania. Like, she's going to the Hall of Fame. She's the only 10-time women's champion. That's more pleasable for a Hall of Fame than just Sasha Banks' title reigns lasting for under a month. And it just came into a multi-women match involving, I think, 4 other competitors from Dana Brooke, Naomi, Tamina, and Lacey Evans and Sasha Banks. I think they're just going to make this an elimination type match. The SmackDown Women's title is worthless, just like the Intercontinental title. Just like the Universal title that they still give to a 50-something-year-old man that beat what was supposed to be the most indestructible force in the company from 2019. And he comes around losing to a 50-something-year-old in under 10 minutes. And now here comes Bayley holding onto the belt, the women's belt, for for nearly 200 days. Being the most successful SmackDown women's title since, I think, Charlotte Flair or Asuka or something. Or Alexa. And it comes to such an underwhelming, like, feuding with, oh god, it's just so cringe. I hated it. Like, who cares? Like, it's just jobbers. The only person important is Sasha Banks, and why wouldn't you just have Sasha Banks against Bayley? It's so easy. Who you think? Lacey Evans lost twice to Bayley. Sasha Banks already pinned most of these women, and Tamina hasn't been seen since the Royal Rumble. And Sasha Banks is obviously the bigger option to win the belt. Or they give it to Lacey Evans for no damn reason, even though she's been completely inconsistent since turning babyface. So what's the point of doing this? I don't know exactly. A crappy segment. We didn't even have a women's match. We had John Morrison against John Morrison and The Miz against Heavy Machinery, and they mucked about and mocked most of their competitors for who's probably going to face them for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And it was obvious that it was just the baby faces that were going to make fun of. They forgot Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler were a tag team, but I think they were because they were heel, so technically it made no sense. And thanks to this just proved that the episode of SmackDown was pretty pre-taped because of the constant edits and stuff to, the cringe fest of Morrison and Miz cosplaying as Heavy Machinery dressed up as Bacon, the New Day dressed up like gay My Little Pony molesters in a furry convention, and the Usos pretending that they're black. And it's just so dumb of a segment coming around mocking their competition like this. And it just came into Heavy Machinery until it's turning to be an okay match. The best part was literally the end of the match when literally it came into Otis literally shoulder tackling both of them to the barricade. Best part of the show next to literally everybody breaking chairs. Even Goldberg and Roman Reigns at the end of the show literally broke chairs, broke their damn wheels just to get a reaction. Dolph Ziggler comes around interfering in the match after I think Otis took down the Miz or Dolph Ziggler and hit both of them with chairs after Dolph Ziggler showed a picture of Mandy. I think they're legit dating. I don't know. I don't really care about WWE drama unless they're wrestlers that I care about. Coming around, Batista DM fucking Dana Brooke. And I know he can do better than that. It's fucking Batista. What the fuck? No badasses want to be with Dana Brooke. Elias doesn't even want to be with Dana Brooke. For God's sakes. Coming around, breaking shit, getting pissed off, obviously in his feelings. They didn't even see Mandy Rose because obviously the policy and crap. So, yeah. Ended up in a DQ finish in a match that no one cared about. And, we'll be seeing like another match to see who will be the number one contenders for the SmackDown titles next week, tag titles next week on SmackDown. So I don't care. I don't care. The match was it was just it was okay. Just a handoff suplex. That was when there was another move from the tag team match from Cesaro Nakamura. There was a one arm tilt a world backbreaker to I think Daniel Bryan. Then I think some whatever moves. There was a handoff vertical suplex from Tucker. I think he was also notable for doing a crossbody. Like he's shockingly athletic. He even did a. I think he was trying to go blow for blow with John Morrison, but then it ends up in a DQ finish when Otis kept hitting on Zig with Miz and Morrison with a chair, and then in the DQ, Otis and Tucker loses with Otis crying on the arms of his tag team partner. I was kind of feeling bad because it's like all my homie wanted was the puss. Why did you stop it? Why Ziggler? You don't get pussy. You fucked Amy Schumer. Her pussy is as bad as her special she had on Netflix. So yeah, that was a segment. It was the most oh my god moment because we didn't expect Otis to go that far. Obviously, be in his feelings and obviously cost his tag team the match. And I thought it was the best part of the show. The rest of the show sucked, obviously. And we obviously had the generic I'ma beat you. I've beaten The Undertaker. I've beaten everybody. I'm the guy. This is my yard. And Goldberg was expecting him in the first place. And Goldberg would be no different. It's just such a one-handed promo with obviously Roman Reigns probably foreshadowing his loss or something. We most of the people already think that Roman Reigns will become Universal Champion for the second time since vacating it back when he was discovered to have leukemia, and hopefully he does win it so they can actually be legit feuds for the rest of the year. As soon as this pandemic dies down and we actually have legit crowds because of the next big pay-per-view SummerSlam. So and obviously the pandemic would die down because SummerSlam's on fucking August. Like no pandemic would dry up until like fucking summertime. So yeah, I'm just completely lost for words because SmackDown was so cringe to watch. I gave up a lot of attention on most of what was happening in the show, and kind of given up when they still wanted to replay matches on pay-per-views. Oh, there gotta be a legit reason why people gotta watch WrestleMania 30. Let's replay WrestleMania 30. Shut up. It's cringe, it's boring, and it makes people not want to watch because they either watched it already. Why are we watching a WrestleMania from 6 years ago? And it's supposed to be feasible to the plot because Bray Wyatt and Cena wrestled each other already, and it just looked boring. Look, SmackDown got a 3 out of 10. The best part was Otis going berserk. Anything else was just one-off, boring, made no sense, cringe, or just completely predictable at the point of why in the hell they would do a contract signing and Goldberg and Roman Reigns would toss away the chairs, but it wouldn't end up with them finding up trying to make themselves look like both badasses. Except it's yet again Roman Reigns going to WrestleMania wrestling a middle-aged man. He did this against The Undertaker back at WrestleMania 33. Triple H was in his 50s at WrestleMania 32. He still is. At 32, he beat he beat Brock Lesnar. That's near his 40. That was near his 40s at the time, and the match went as well as it could, but it's still not prime Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns literally didn't face up against like prime constant full time wrestlers until like WrestleMania 30 to like 29. His first WrestleMania against Sheamus, Randy Orton, and Big Show. It's been that long since he faced off against full-time competition because they're obviously trying to get Roman Reigns over. And how much of a failure that is because that doesn't establish him as a real badass. It establishes him as just a weird little prickly bitch beating up old people. There was also another full-time guy. He beat Drew McIntyre, but of course that was a given because he just came back from beating leukemia. So obviously they would try to give him a one-off win like that. But the match didn't really matter, and then they feuded for another 2 months for no damn reason until McIntyre ended up turning babyface later on in the year. So it just made no sense in my opinion. And I think he just turned babyface immediately after winning the Royal Rumble, except winning a couple just squash matches on Raw, making him a favorite for the Rumble. I'm telling you, this Road to WrestleMania buildup is terrible. This episode of Smackdown was absolutely terrible. There was no reason for you guys to watch except for me to talk shit about the show. Multiple people already have been disliking SmackDown since it's airing to Fox, seeing how mediocre it's gotten. And it's just proven over the past couple months that WWE still doesn't know what the hell they're doing, and I'm just losing patience every time I watch an episode of SmackDown, because give a reason why I should be watching SmackDown. And now the next week there's going to be important stuff to watch, because obviously this is practically the go-home SmackDown before WrestleMania. And technically they have the Firefly Funhouse episode, so I didn't know why they didn't have that for... Hell, drag it out to 20-something minutes or something to just give a reason for it to exist. Or have something other than replaying pay-per-view matches every fucking week on Raw and SmackDown. Like, that means something, while Dynamite did better numbers. And obviously we're trying to actually be an entertaining show, having two big revealing signings coming on the same show, and beat NXT to a pulp 500k to 900k. Like, get your ass out there, WWE. Do something to make your show different. I understand the pandemic's making shit limiting, but you have a 2-day event for Mania. Nobody wants that. So do something to at least make the build-up at least somewhat watchable, because we have no other, like, entertaining show. No one wants to watch the Bayley's match on WrestleMania. No one cares about Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. No one cared for The Fiend versus John Cena unless The Fiend was still Universal Champion. And we have the least expectations when Drew McIntyre even wins the WWE title against Brock Lesnar. There's nothing involving feasible feuds against the mid-card. There's no feasible feuds involving the tag team division because of how mediocre and steep it is. And there's haven't been any, like, storyline except the one they tried to force with John Cena and The Fiend from 6 years ago. And Bray Wyatt was like, the last time they even interacted was like the Elimination Chamber match when Cena was WWE champion. That Bray Wyatt won. What's the end goal of this? Is this to try to think that The Fiend is legitimate now? It's just so dumb. It is so dumb. That's it coming from me. Hopefully you like, comment, subscribe, join the DST Nation. I just want to take my medication now because this is just aggravating. But I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Wouldn't mind if you guys liked SmackDown as it was, but for me, it was just a whole shit fest, and I think a whole lot of people agree because they've been talking all this stuff about SmackDown. They've been absolutely right. SmackDown has just been an unwatchable mess with or without the pandemic. There was no reason to watch SmackDown. People would rather watch NXT, Raw, or Dynamite. They're not wasting time with SmackDown, sadly. So, and that just comes off a terrible roster, terrible booking decisions, underdeveloped card, and no main eventers on SmackDown except probably Roman Reigns. And probably Daniel Bryan and The Fiend. There's no other established stars on SmackDown. So that's just my thoughts on it. I would like to hear your thoughts on the comment section, and I hope you guys liked the video.